sacrificing an indefatigable struggle for common sense, reconciliation, and peace in a region characterized by violence, occupation, repression, and human misery. And in his professional and political work, Eyad El Sarraj has stood on the side of the individual human being, regardless of nationality, gender, or social position. He has brought into the light the destructive influence of repression on mental health. He has shown the connections arising between confinement, hopelessness, desperation, and violence, and how this is neglected both by Palestinian and Israeli authorities. Eyad El Sarraj gives hope and voice to a tormented people, and for a just peace between Israel and Palestine, and for reconciliation within Palestine itself. I will now ask Eyad El Sarraj to come up here to receive the 2010 Olof Palme Prize from the hands of Olof Palme.
Dear friends, Dr. Eyad El Sarraj, I speak to you through your son, Wasim. I will soon hand over the Olof Palme Memorial Prize 2010, and it is with great admiration for your persistent work to uphold hope for your people, the Palestinian, and for the Israelis, to be able to be neighbors in peaceful development of society. The task you have taken on you is one of the most exhausting on earth. I remember my husband saying in the early 1950s, when young Palestinians protested in the camps, where they felt frustrated and humiliated as they were forced out of their own homes. Olof said, this unrest will, I am afraid, continue, maybe for more than 40 years. It will be carried from generation to generation. When the message about the unspeakable tragedy concerning the bombings of Gaza 2 years ago arrived, I recollected the words from a surviving photographer from Hiroshima. He said, it was hell on earth. It was an inferno. And he asked, was this the real world? It does not need to be a nuclear war to demolish our common strive for human dignity. Conventional weapons become more and more technically sophisticated, and the users are more and more alienated from the sceneries of disastrous effects, physically and psychologically, on the civilians, children, women, old and sick. The threat of escalation from conventional to nuclear weapons are always there. Let me today quote from Olof's report of the Independent Commission on Disarmament and Security Issues. It is from the introduction from the report, called Common Security. He wrote, the doctrine of deterrence offers very fragile protection indeed against the horrors of nuclear war. And I read war. It is therefore of paramount importance to replace the doctrine of mutual deterrence. Our alternative is common security. There can be no hope of victory in a nuclear war. The two sides would be united in suffering and destruction. They can survive only together. They must achieve security not against the adversary, but together with him. International security must rest on a commitment to joint survival rather than on a threat of mutual destruction.
This was in. We have received a Palme Prize. I hope you will bring it to him and carry our words to him.
It's a great honour for me to be in Sweden. I know my father would have loved to have been here himself. It's also an honour to meet Olof Palme and Eyad as well. My father has great admiration for Olof Palme and Eyad for one of their work to advance the question of Palestine. It's also a critical time in Gaza at the moment as well, so I'm sure my father's very happy that Gaza is still on the agenda for people in Europe. So I hope we can all keep Gaza at the forefront of politics and policies as well. Thank you.